Let's take a look at what all the things, now that we've familiarized ourselves a little bit with the layers, let's see what the layers can do for us. Right at the top, if I'm on this Godzilla or Zilla Boy, we have an opacity to this layer. I can take this and I can drag across, and we can drop the opacity of every layer. We can take it down to 0, or we can take it up to 100, or anything in between. So to make things look like a ghost or make things blend together, we can drop the opacity of our situations and everything looks pretty cool. So I'm going to take that back up to 100%. The swirly thing, let's take the swirly thing and I'm going to move it right to the very top here. As you can see, you just drag it up there and it's up there. And what I want to do to this is I want to add a layer style. Let's see what the layer styles do. So right here we can do bevel and emboss, stroke, inner shadow, outer inner glow, satin, color overlay, gradient overlay, pattern overlay, outer glow, drop shadow. So let's just add a drop shadow here. What it's going to do is it's going to bring up this big dialog box. This dialog box has everything we need to do with it. So look, it's live with a lot of this stuff. I have the layer style here, and I said I want to add a drop shadow, and notice down here we're on the highlighted drop shadow with a checkbox. I'm going to move my cursor over here in front of the image and drag it down, and look what's happening. There's my drop shadow. Can you see it? I'm going to adjust the opacity so you can see it a little better. So we'll take it up to like 75%. Look at that. We now have a drop shadow. We can adjust the shadow opacity, distance, size, spread. So size, if we wanted to, we can make it size a little bigger, spreads a little bigger, and then the size makes it more fuzzy. So we'll drop that back down a little bit. We drop our spread down just a little bit. And we can change the contour, the color of the shadow, the blending mode, a lot of things going on with this shadow. But right now let's say OK. And now we have a drop shadow from that layer, from that swirly thing layer. And look at our layers palette. We now have an FX in the corner. And there's a little drop down arrow that shows you have an effect and which one it is. If we had multiple effects, they would all be listed right here with little eyeballs. And we can turn on and off the effects if we want, which is very nice. So let's also go in here now and we'll go back to effects. And we're going to go bevel and emboss. Brings up that big honking window again. And look, it's embossed, beveled and embossed that red swirl. And if we want, we can change the depth, the size, soften it if we want. Not make it so hard, soft. We can go from smooth to chisel soft to chisel hard to chisel soft. We can do outer bevel, inner bevel, emboss. These are all fun things to just experiment with and try out. See which one you like the best. So we're just going to take that back to outer bevel. And it gives you a little sample of right here. Hit OK. And now look, the layer has bevel and emboss and drop shadow. And we can turn them both off at the same time. Or we can just turn off one or the other. Okay? So a effect like that is really nice and easy to do. If I want, I'm going to add some text just for yucks and giggles here. So I'm going to come out here and I'm going to click. And as soon as I click, notice what happened. It adds a brand new layer to my layers panel. It puts a T in the middle of it, which tells me that this is a text layer. And right now it's labeled layer 4. We're not going to touch that right now because I'm just going to type out something. I'm going to type out my name. So there's my name. And as soon as I get done, click on the Move tool. There's my name, and it takes whatever I typed, and it takes the first word or two and puts it in the name of the layer. So now I want to change that because that font is not real thick and heavy. I want something thicker and heavier. So what I can do here is I'm gonna take my cursor and put it right on the T in the thumbnail, and I'm gonna double click on that, and it's gonna automatically highlight my text. And I'm gonna change from Trajan Pro, and I'm gonna come up here to something thick and heavy. There we go, Impact Regular. And I'm going to change the font color to, let's go green. Now we have a green Eric. And what I want to show you is on our layers, if I want, I can make that larger. I could go back and I could double click on it and I could change the font size up here. And it will change it to 72 DPI. 72 points, I'm sorry. But you know what I'm going to do I want to make it really large. So what I'm going to do is underneath Image, Edit, Free Transform, which is a Control T. Now remember I told you the Control D is going to deselect. Control D is something I want you to learn and do because you're going to do it all the time. This is another thing that you're going to do all the time, and it's a shortcut that's really time consuming and it's easier to work with. You're going to do Free Transform, which is Control T, and it's going to create a box with handles around our text. I'm going to hold down the Shift key and I'm going to grab the corner handle and I'm going to size this proportionately and I'm going to hit Enter. But if I want, with this Free Transform, I can stretch it, pull it, I can come out to the corners, I can rotate it. So I can do all kinds of things from the Transform tool. We're going to use the Deselect and Free Transform all the time. So Deselect is Control D and Free Transform is Control T. And then when you're done, you hit Enter and you're all set. So now that I've got some text here, let's go do a bevel and emboss on this text. It's going to show me the text. And I don't want a drop shadow, so I'm going to come to the bevel and emboss. Depth is 230. That's because probably one of the last things that I did here. Just kind of, and we're going to do it instead of, we're going to do smooth, outer bevel, soften, bring the size down. So that we can change all this. I'm going to hit OK. And we can add effects right to our layer. And if we move the layer around, you'll notice that all the stuff for the layer goes with it. This is also very, very, if I double click on this and I change it to DOG, everything stays with it. So it's live. Right now, as long as that T is there, that is live text. We can do all kinds of stuff to it, and it's not going to bother. It's not going to change it. It's only when we rasterize that from the vector text that it currently is to raster text that it won't be editable to change the spelling or the font or whatever. We just have to double click on that, and we're good to go. Again, if I create another text layer, click down here and type mom, and I want the exact same effects on both, I can come over here and do a right mouse click or a control click and say copy layer style, come to the new layer mom, right mouse click or control click, and paste layer style. And what that's going to do is it's going to take everything and it's going to copy the exact effects that I had on the first text and copy and paste it to this one so that we've got it the exact same thing. We don't have to go back and find out and write it all down on a piece of paper or remember, okay, I did an emboss of 23 points and so on and so forth. It's just easier, and now it's all like this. And notice how this layer panel is really starting to get longer and bigger. Well, right off the bat with the FX, I can click on the little button and drop them up like that. And then if I want, I can hold the shift key down and click on these 2 layers at a time, make a new group, double click on that, and I'm going to call it text. So now they're both in that group, but watch this. If I click on the eyedropper, the eye, it'll turn off both of them at once, or if I just want, I can turn off individual ones individually. Pretty cool.